Now that we're at the 30th anniversary this year, we wanted something that was really a gift to give back to the community. That would be around for future generations as well, and that was significant stories of what transpired over those 30 years. Not just, oh, we did this in this year, or this program started in that year, but the impact that we had on individuals and families. We've had remarkable loss, but we've also had remarkable progress. And that became the theme for the 30-30 campaign. It's a history of HIV here in Vancouver. It's not just about AIDS Vancouver, so it's much bigger than all of us, really, but it is about all of us. And that's the exciting thing about it.
Well, my hope for the next 30 years is, speaking selfishly, that I am happy, healthy, whole, and here.
My hope for the next 30 years is that BC will see an HIV and AIDS-free generation.
Whatever treatment is available is accessible to people globally.
That we're not talking about HIV anymore.
We will have a parliament that looks at evidence-based decision-making.
HIV becomes a virus that exists only in cold tanks and laboratories.
My hope for the next 30 years is like everyone else's hope, that this doesn't exist.
That they find a cure.
That stigma associated with HIV comes to an end.
My hope is that in 30 years that the epidemic is a memory.
Those 3 decades where we lost just so many people had a huge negative impact on the world that we just cannot calculate.
Our lives changed forever. I mean, it was never the same. It was never the same.
What mistakes are you going to make in the future if you don't know what happened in the past?
It's incredibly valuable to have dates and people and events told with some credibility, so that when you do look back, it's with some sense of truth, maybe even the things you don't want to remember.
People who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it.
Lost so many leaders and so many people who didn't have voices. So it is just absolutely essential to give voice to the history.
So that we don't forget those that have gone on before us.
We need to build on the shoulders of those who came before us so that we can actually go further and go higher.
Knowing our history, honoring all the people who died is very important to me.
It's been just a very emotional thing for me to have lived through this and to be able to tell my story.
We are the generation that lived through this.
If we don't record the battle in all fairness, then we forget what it means to take a couple of hits and keep going. It was brutal, it was beautiful, and we have to understand that those two things came together, and the only people who know it are the people who were there.
Stories told by living people aren't going to be lost.
Learn from history. If you don't learn, you're a fool. Biggest lesson that's missed is the role of advocacy. If you want to change things, sometimes you have to get uncomfortable. And you got to stand up and say, this isn't right.
We lose the story, then we forget that we have the power to make change.
It's actually a very wonderful story. It started off as a tragedy, and it ends up as a triumph.
Hard to say it was a good thing, but good things can come out of bad things.